My name is Belinder Dhanoa. I see myself as a fiction writer, though I do write non-fiction as well, primarily on art. I am also an occasional visual artist and primarily a teacher. At what point can you say I am a writer and be recognized as such? At what point can you say I am an artist and be recognized as such? It has been a struggle in that sense, internally for myself, and in terms of how we are perceived as well. Because if you say you're a writer and you don't have a published work, it's very difficult to be taken seriously. I'm sure everybody is aware that when you work as a writer or as an artist, it is always a struggle in terms of how you move forward. So I am in the extremely fortunate position of having a day job which I love and with which I identify as well, and that is teaching. So being able to do a day job which satisfies you and in a way feeds into your practice as well is incredibly fortunate. When I bring my visual art and the written word together, I very often try to see how they bounce off each other rather than coming together as one. So for example, if I were to tell a story, both visually and through the written word within one canvas, what I would try to see is how the image affects how you interpret the written word and how reading the text helps you to or changes the interpretation of the visual. So very often if you have a visual and you describe it, then you're understanding it within very strict limits. But if you just place the text onto a visual, and you can interpret both differently, in the sense that if, for example, if you were to see a plant in the visual and I were to write the word sun, how would you interpret that image then, and how would you interpret the word? It's just kind of placing them together and seeing how they interact. If you were to just describe it, it would be very illustrative, in the sense that, like the illustration in a biology book or something, where you're specifically trying to create one meaning, whereas here there's the possibility for the two languages to bounce off each other. At the same time, I don't think either the visual or the word can be separated from each other, because when you say a word, you see a visual in your mind, and when you see a visual, to recognize it, you say a word. So what happens when you put a word which doesn't exactly match that image with, when you put the two together? I think my formal education has been crucial. I have a bachelor's degree in English literature, which did, in a sense, discipline the way I was reading. And I think as I continued my education, that learning how to read properly was incredibly important. In terms of the visual arts, my training in art criticism, in visual cultures, has helped me to learn it as a new language. And I think it becomes absolutely crucial if you want to do anything in the visual arts, to be able to understand that it is a different language. You have to know what to look for and what to work with before you can actually create, or before you can actually read it very, very specifically. So in the visual arts then, we're talking, for example, about space being used in a particular way, or color, line, form, etc., all being used in particular ways and then being put together. And how does that happen? It's a language. It's the language which speaks, in a sense, and so you learn to use it, you learn the language. I think without discipline, it would be impossible for me to be either a writer or an artist, because there is nobody watching over you. There is nobody, there's no one telling you, you have to do this today. So if you're not motivated enough to discipline yourself and to see this as something that you want to do every day, it becomes an incredibly different process. I think there are many misconceptions about the life of writers and artists. More often than not, the ones who are visible are the ones who are very successful. So a lot of youngsters feel that, you know, it pays a lot, or if I get my first book accepted by a big time publisher, that I'm going to make a lot of money from it. But even if you're getting published as a new author from a major publisher, it's not like you're going to get a lot of money for it, or that they're going to push your book very hard. Now it would be important, for example, for a writer maybe to find a really good agent who will then take the manuscript, who will go through the manuscript, maybe even ask you to edit, take that edited manuscript to publishers, and because they have the network, would be able to have more publishers reading it. There are very, very few agents, literary agents in India. The way to do it is to Google, and to also see which authors, which agents are representing the authors you like and the authors you feel your work is similar to, or, you know, in some way related to. I just would like young writers and artists to know that it's not always an easy journey in terms of the practicalities of building up a career in writing or in art, but the joy that you get, even when it's painful, the joy that you get from the practice that you do is irreplaceable. It's absolutely irreplaceable. So if you have it in you, go for it.